Halakha about borer. The halakha says that on the laws of borer, a person is not allowed to separate the bad out of the good. Says Rav Ovadia, what about bones out of the fish? You have right now fish you're eating on Shabbat. It's mitzvah to eat fish. The Arizal says all 3 meals of Shabbat. Friday night, Shabbat Utram, and Shabbat Suda Shlishi. That's Arizal fish. Says it's important to eat fish all the 3 meals of the Shabbat. He says the most important meal to have fish is Suda Shlishi. That's the most important one. But if you're supposed to have fish, all 3 meals, he says. If a person cannot afford or he cannot eat so much fish, he should eat, he says, the fish by the Suda Shlishi. But the best way, все 3 трапезы, чтобы человек кушал этот рыбу. Yeah, you don't have to have a lot, something you enjoy. He says, now you're eating the fish, там bones. If you're going to eat the bones, person can chas v'shalom hurt himself. He wants to separate the bones out of the fish. But what about the laws of separation? Plachova, they have a separation of the bones, which is bad, out of the edible fish. You're not allowed to separate on Shabbat the bad out of the good. Says Rav Ovadia, because of that, the Ashkenazim made gefilte fish. And like this, you have no problem of why Sephardim don't have gefilte fish. Unas Hazan, unas Durgi, Muri. Misaruki nebala. So the halakha says a different answer. Says Rav Ovadia Yosef, because when a person is eating the bone, eating the fish, the halakha says when you cannot separate the bad out of the good, it's only whenever the separation is being done before the meal. Например, вот сейчас я приготовлю для своего внука, для своего сына, right? I'm preparing it, and in 2-3 minutes he'll sit down and eat. But whenever I am eating it, as I'm eating it, or as my child eats it, I'm separating right away, feeding him piece by piece. That's not considered to be separating the bad out of the good. That's considered to be eating. When you eat palo, right? You have a langri palo. You take a spoon of palo. This spoon was separated from the rest of the palo. How do you separate? Because I'm eating. That's the way to eat on Shabbat. So it says, whenever you are eating, at the moment you are eating, if you're separating the bones out and eating the fish, it's not considered to be separating the bad out of the good. It's considered to be eating on Shabbat. Says another reason, there is a machloket in the Rishonim. The laws of borek, separation, applies to things that grows from the ground. What about things that doesn't grow from the ground? Fish doesn't grow from the ground. The laws of borek, separation, applies to things that does not grow from the ground. Also, no argument. It's machloket in the halakha. Says Rav Ovadia Yosef, we can rely on the opinions that says that it doesn't apply to fish because it doesn't grow from the ground. So another reason he says why we could combine to be lenient. And the third reason, says Rav Ovadia, is the laws of borek applies to something that grew one thing and that another thing. But whenever the thing that you're separating grew in the thing that you are eating, it's considered to be one thing, not considered to be 2 things. You have the plants, right? They had in Mishkan plants, as yes, animeli, rocks and stuff like that, they got mixed together. That's considered to be borek. But whenever you are separating from the thing that grew itself, it's not considered to be borek. Поэтому говорит тоже семечки от этого есть, арбуз. Person is eating right now arbuz, tam chornu семечки есть. He's not comfortable. He wants to remove this семечки out, the seeds over there, the watermelon seeds. Is he allowed to do it? He's separating the bad out of the good. It says because he grew up together, it's not considered to be 2 different kinds. It's considered to be 1 kind. And in 1 kind, the laws of separation doesn't apply. What are you separating? You are eating the same thing. So since he says, for those 3 reasons, it did not grow up from the ground, the fish, and you're separating the bad out of the good for immediate consumption, and it grew up together, combination of those 3 reasons, says Rav Ovadia Yosef, that the moment he's eating, he's allowed to separate even the bones of the fish, and he doesn't have to eat gefilte fish.